We were only 3 days into our honeymoon cruise when my husband vanished. No blood, no struggle, no goodbyes. One moment, he was kissing me goodnight, and the next, he was just gone. The cabin door was locked from the inside. His phone was on the nightstand. And somehow, not a single camera on that ship caught him leaving. They told me he must have fallen overboard. That may be. He ran. But I know what I felt that night. I wasn't alone in that room. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. Caribbean waters. Endless cocktails. And for once in our chaotic lives, peace. Adam had planned the whole thing, even upgraded us to a balcony suite. He was always thoughtful like that. Our first few days on board were perfect. We danced at the captain's dinner. We snorkeled off the coast of St. Thomas. He laughed more than I'd seen in months. And then, just like that, he was gone. It started with a simple late-night walk. He said he wanted some air, the kind of thing couples don't think twice about. But this time, he didn't come back. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. 30. I messaged him. No response. I stepped out onto the hallway. No sign of him. And when I finally asked security for help, their reaction was anything but urgent. "Ma'am, he probably just had a bit too much to drink," one of them said, barely looking up from his monitor. "Give it until morning." But it was already morning. And Adam's side of the bed was still cold. I reported him missing again. This time louder. They finally checked the ship's cameras, only to tell me something that didn't make sense. "There's no footage of him anywhere after 12:37 a.m., the officer said. "He was never seen leaving the hallway. Not on the stairs. Not near the pool deck. Nowhere. That was the last moment he existed on this ship." They searched our cabin too. No signs of struggle. Nothing broken. Nothing out of place. Except one thing. Our balcony door was cracked open. Just slightly. As if someone had touched it. Or slipped through it. I remember the wind brushing my cheek that night. But I closed it. I'm sure I closed it. Didn't I? They suggested maybe he jumped. Or fell. But Adam was scared of heights. He wouldn't even lean over the railing when we watched sunsets. Something wasn't right. And then, I found his wedding ring. Not on the dresser. Not in his bag. But under the edge of the couch. Like it had been thrown. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't an accident. Someone took him. But the crew staff were eager to move on. "No sign of foul play," they said. "Accidents happen." They wanted me quiet. They offered to fly me home. Told me the authorities would handle the rest. But I wasn't ready to leave. Not until I found the truth. Because someone on this ship knows what happened. And I plan to find them. That night, as I lay alone in our cabin, I heard it. A knock. 3 slow taps. From the inside of the wall behind our bed. But when I turned on the light, there was no one there. And the knocking stopped. Just like that. I didn't sleep that night. Not after the knocking. I stared at the wall until sunrise, half expecting another tap, half praying it was just my imagination. But it wasn't. Because in the morning, I found something. The wall behind our bed had a thin seam, barely visible. Not a crack exactly. More like a panel. I ran my fingers across it. Cold. Metal. Flush with the wall. But it moved, just slightly, like it had been opened before. I flagged it to the crew's security. They brushed it off. Probably just a maintenance hatch, they said. No access from inside. I asked to see the blueprints of the ship. They laughed. Ma'am, we can't just hand those out. Something about their tone made my skin crawl. Like they weren't surprised at all. Like they already knew what was behind that wall. I started watching the hall, studying the passengers, staff, crew. Faces blurred into each other. Friendly, smiling. Too friendly. But there was one man who didn't fit in. Tall, thin, crew uniform, but no name tag. Always cleaning, always watching. He passed our hallway at least 6 times that day. Never knocked. Never said a word. Just stared when he thought I wasn't looking. I followed him once, through the narrow staff corridor near the dining hall. He slipped into a maintenance door. I tried to go after him, but it was locked. Access only. So I waited. That night, I left our cabin light on. Camera recording. Just in case. No knocking this time. But around 3:17 a.m., the light flickered. Once. Then again. And in that flicker, I swear I saw a shadow move across the cabin. The video caught nothing. Just static. Exactly at 3:17. I reported everything to the onboard investigator. His name was Officer Greaves. A man with kind eyes, but tired ones. He nodded along to my story, jotted a few notes. Lots of strange reports on cruises, he said. People get paranoid out here. I wasn't paranoid. I was desperate. I asked if I could see the footage from the hallway outside our room. He paused, then shook his head. Corrupted, he said. Hard drive failed. The same hard drive that failed at exactly 3:17? By day 5, the cruise continued as if nothing had happened. Buffets. Bingo. Deck parties. Meanwhile, I was tearing through our cabin looking for anything Adam might have left behind. That's when I found his notebook. It was tucked behind a drawer. I'd seen him scribble in it before. Ideas, poems, sketches. But the last page wasn't his handwriting. It was messy, rushed. Block letters that looked scared. It read, "The wall isn't just a wall. Don't trust the crew." My hands shook. I read it over and over. Why would he write that? Was he trying to warn me? Or was someone else leaving me a message? I went back to the wall. The panel. This time, I pressed harder. Listened. Waited. And then, I heard it. A shuffle. Like a shoe dragging across metal. Faint. But definitely there. I wasn't alone in that room. Not then. Not now. I needed help. Real help. Someone not on the ship's payroll. I texted my sister back home. Told her everything. Told her to call the Coast Guard. The embassy. Anyone. She replied within seconds. But her message chilled me. I just got a text from Adam this morning. I froze. Adam's phone was still in our cabin. I had it in my hand. But somehow, he'd messaged her. From another number. It said, "Don't trust Elena." That's when I realized. This wasn't just a disappearance. It was a setup. Someone wanted me to look crazy. To seem unstable. To bury the truth. And if I didn't figure it out soon, I'd be the next one to vanish. That night, I locked every latch, sealed the door, and slid a chair under the handle. But at exactly 3:17 a.m., the lights flickered again. And when I turned toward the wall, the panel was open, just slightly, and inside, two eyes were staring back at me. Have you ever been so scared that your body freezes? Not out of fear, but instinct. That's what happened when I saw those eyes staring at me through the open panel. They didn't blink, didn't move, just watched me. And then they disappeared, retreated into the darkness behind the wall, like they were never there. I couldn't breathe. My entire chest locked up. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I rushed forward, grabbed the edge of the panel, and yanked. It didn't budge. I pulled harder. Nothing. It had sealed itself shut. I backed away, heart thudding so loud. I swore it would wake the entire floor. But no one came. No alarms. No footsteps. Just silence. Was I hallucinating? Sleep deprived? Losing it? I pulled out my phone. Checked the footage. Nothing. Again. The same 3:17 a.m. timestamp. The same corrupted feed. Just static. Like someone, or something, was wiping it clean. I went straight to Officer Greaves. This time, I didn't ask. I demanded. Told him I'd go public. That I'd call every news outlet. The second I got off the ship. His demeanor changed. Not defensive. Not angry. Worried. He leaned forward and said, "You need to stop digging, Mrs. Carter. You're not supposed to see what's behind that wall." My blood turned cold. I asked what he meant. He hesitated, then said quietly, "Sometimes, people don't fall overboard. They're taken." He looked around, then slid me a paper. A name. A room number. "If you want answers, talk to her. But do it quietly. Room B416, Deck 2. It took me nearly an hour to get down there unnoticed. That level wasn't for guests. It was dim, metallic, colder. I knocked twice. No answer. I knocked again. Then, a whisper through the door. "Elena." I froze. "Yes," I whispered back. "I was told to find you." The door creaked open. Inside was a woman, mid-50s, gray hair pulled back, shaky hands, eyes that hadn't slept in days. Her name was Clara, and she said 3 words that shook me to my core. "He's not dead." I sat down. She told me she'd been a passenger on this cruise 6 years ago. Same ship. Her fiancé vanished mid-trip. No trace. She stayed behind, worked on the ship, became part of the cleaning crew, just to keep looking. She said there's a hidden system of service tunnels beneath the ship. They're not on any maps, accessible only by certain crew, and she believed people were being kept inside them. Used. For what? I asked. She looked away. Didn't answer. Just whispered, "They don't want you to ask that." She pulled a folded paper from her pocket. A map. Hand-sketched. Crude but detailed. She marked a room. Under Deck 7. Behind the laundry unit. She said if Adam was still alive, that's where he'd be. I couldn't believe it. Didn't want to. But something in her eyes, the fear, the sorrow, told me this wasn't fantasy. It was survival. That night, I made my move. I waited until 2:45 a.m., slipped out in all black, held my breath every time a shadow passed, heart hammering with every step. Down those narrow metal stairs, I reached the laundry unit. Clara was right. Behind a row of old shelves, there was a panel, just like in our room, but this one had a latch. I took a deep breath and pulled. It opened, dark, cramped, the smell of damp metal and old sweat. I climbed in. Each step inside felt like entering another world. The air buzzed with the hum of machinery. Dripping pipes echoed like whispers. But then, I heard it. A voice. Weak. Coughing. Calling. Elena. I turned a corner and saw him. Adam. Chained to a pipe. Barely conscious. Eyes sunken. Face bruised. But alive. He looked up at me and whispered, terrified, "You weren't supposed to find me. If you've made it this far, you know this story's only just beginning. Like what you're hearing. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, so you don't miss other intriguing stories like this. You weren't supposed to find me." That's what Adam said. But that wasn't what broke me. It was what he said next. His voice a whisper. His eyes full of dread. "Now they'll come for you too." I dropped to my knees. He was thinner, paler. His wrists were bruised, raw from the metal cuffs. His lips cracked. But he was alive. I tried to touch him. He flinched. "Elena," he whispered. "They're always watching." I turned. My flashlight scanned the cramped space. Walls of rusted steel. Pipes overhead. It felt like a grave. And that's when I saw it. A small black dot on the ceiling. The tiniest blink of red. A hidden camera. I yanked my hoodie over it. But I already knew. Whoever was behind this. They knew I'd found him. I had seconds. "Can you walk?" I asked. Adam shook his head, pain tightening every line in his face. "They drugged us. Kept us weak. Us." I froze. "There are others?" I whispered. He nodded, then coughed violently, his whole body shaking. I reached for the cuffs. Locked. Heavy. I needed a key. Or a way out. I turned, scanning the tunnel. Searching for something. Anything. But footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Coming down the duct from behind. They knew. They were coming. I crouched beside him. Pressed my forehead to his. "I'll come back," I whispered. "I swear to you, Adam. I'm getting you out." He looked at me dazed, hope flickering in his swollen eyes. I ran. Crawled back through the vent. Chest burning. Palms scraped raw. Footsteps chased behind me. Voices yelling. But I made it out. I slammed the panel shut. And bolted to the guest deck. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just sat by the cabin door, waiting for them to come, to drag me away too. But they didn't. No knock. No footsteps. Just nothing. The next morning, I went straight to Clara. Told her everything. She looked sick. She hadn't expected me to make it back, let alone with confirmation that Adam was alive. And then she said something that chilled me deeper than anything I'd heard. "You've seen the system now. That means you're a liability." She handed me a flash drive. Encrypted. Said it had logs, maps, even some intercepted internal crew messages. "Take this when you disembark," she said. "It's your only leverage." We docked in 2 days. I just had to stay invisible till then. That night, I returned to my room, only to find something waiting on the bed. A single white envelope. No name. Just one word on the front. "Leave." Inside, a photo. Adam. In the tunnels. Unconscious. Someone had taken it. Recently. There was no blood. No threat. But it didn't need one. This was a warning. Clear as daylight. They were letting me know. They'd let me live. If I disappeared. But I couldn't. Not now. Not after seeing him. Not after hearing the fear in his voice. The next morning, I was sitting alone in the buffet area, when a man in a clean-pressed staff uniform sat across from me. I didn't see where he came from. Didn't see his ID badge. Just, suddenly he was there. He leaned in and said, "You should have let him go, Elena." My breath caught. "Who are you?" I whispered. He smiled. "You think this ship is the only one? You think he's the only one they've taken?" He slid a small object across the table. A coin. Engraved with a logo. One I hadn't seen before. A serpent wrapped around a ship's anchor. Then he stood up. And walked away. Gone before I could even ask another question. That night, Clara was gone. Her room. Cleaned out. Like she never existed. I asked staff. They claimed the room had been empty for days. No record. No trace. Even her name. Gone from the employee manifest. Everything was unraveling. Adam was alive. Clara had vanished. Someone on this ship knew I'd found the truth. And now, I wasn't sure who I could trust. I had one option left. If the flash drive really held proof. If it mapped the tunnels. And showed what was being done to those people. I had to get it off the ship. Before they got to me too. The ship docked at sunrise. Hundreds of people disembarked. Laughing, waving, unaware of what really floated beneath them. I clutched the flash drive. Like it was my last breath. And walked toward the exit. But just as I reached the final checkpoint, security stopped me. "Ma'am," the officer said, "we've been asked to escort you for a secondary search." Behind him, 2 men in black stepped forward. No crew's uniforms. No badges. Just the same serpent and anchor logo on their jackets. And one of them was holding a stun baton. "Ma'am, please come with us." I looked up. 2 men in dark jackets. No name tags. No crew's logo. Just that same twisted emblem. A serpent coiled around an anchor. My stomach turned. I was cornered. I could lie. Pretend I knew nothing. Hope they didn't find the flash drive. But my hands were already shaking. My heart was pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. They didn't ask for my ID. They didn't scan my boarding pass. They already knew who I was. I was marked. They led me through a side corridor. Not back toward the ship. Not toward the dock. But down. Into a concrete hallway behind security. And suddenly, I wasn't on a cruise anymore. I was in something else. Something built beneath the port itself. One of them finally spoke. "You should have stayed quiet, Elena." He opened a heavy steel door. Inside, a dimly lit room. With a chair bolted to the floor. A camera in the corner. A drain in the center. I'd seen enough crime shows to know what this was. I have nothing, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. One of them smiled, not like a man amused, but like a man who already knew how the story ends. And then, a door creaked open behind them. A woman walked in. Not cruise staff. Not port authority. She wore a fitted black suit. Hair pinned tight. Expression unreadable. But her eyes. They knew everything. Elena Harper, she said. Calm. Measured. Do you have any idea how many lives you've endangered? I blinked. Was this real? You kidnapped my husband, I snapped. You drugged him. Tortured him. We protected him, she interrupted. From you. The words hit like ice water. Excuse me. She stepped closer, took out a tablet, and tapped the screen. Footage played. A grainy video. Adam. In our room on the cruise. Talking to someone I couldn't see. She's getting suspicious, he said in the video. We might have to move up the timeline. I couldn't breathe. That's fake, I whispered. But the voice. It was Adam's. His exact cadence. His nervous glance toward the door. They were framing him. Or worse. He was in on it. The woman tilted her head. You're not the first wife to ask too many questions, she said. But you could be the last. She turned and left. And then, the lights went out. Total blackness. Only the sound of my own breath. And the metallic click of a door locking shut behind me. I don't know how long I sat there. An hour. 2. Time stopped existing. Then, a new noise. Footsteps. Lighter. Hesitant. And then a whisper. Elena. It was Clara. Alive. She pushed open a side panel in the wall. A hidden passage. Her face pale. Hands trembling. Come now, she hissed. They're transferring Adam tonight. You won't get another chance. We ran. Down narrow corridors beneath the dock. Dodging cameras. Ducking through blind spots she'd memorized from years in the system. Where are they taking him? I gasped. Facility 17, she said. They call it the last stop. People who go there. They don't come back. We made it to a cargo lift. And that's when I saw them. 6 others. Men and women. All wearing plain clothes. Blank expressions. Drugged. Shuffling like ghosts. One of them. His eyes flickered toward me. Adam. I lunged forward. But Clara yanked me back. Too many eyes, she hissed. If they see you, we lose him forever. Tears welled in my throat. I watched as they were herded into a black van. No license plate. Just the serpent and anchor emblem. And then, they were gone. I thought I was too late. That it was over. But Clara handed me a worn envelope. Inside, a map. Coordinates. Schedules. Even crew rosters. Everything. You have to expose them, she whispered. They don't just take people. They erase them. I opened the final page. A manifest titled, Phase 4, Scheduled Acquisitions. And my name was next. They don't just take people. They erase them. That was Clara's last warning. Before she vanished again. And now, I was holding the evidence. Maps, schedules, even names. But one name hit harder than the rest. Mine. I wasn't just looking for Adam anymore. They were coming for me. I knew I couldn't go to the police. Clara was right. This wasn't a crime you reported. This was a machine. Polished. Protected. Invisible. And now, I had to tear it apart. I left the port city under a fake name. 3 buses. No phones. No cards. I traveled like a ghost. But I memorized every detail in that envelope. There was one location that appeared again and again. Facility 17. Tucked inside a logistics company. Supposedly abandoned. Guarded by men with no uniforms and eyes that didn't blink. I waited until midnight. Dressed in black. Wired with a hidden mic Clara had given me. She said if anything happened, broadcast. Always broadcast. I reached the fence. No alarms. That alone was terrifying. They didn't expect intruders. Because no one ever survived long enough to come back. The back entrance was sealed. But Clara's code worked. 2317. Adam's birthday. A small part of him was still with me. I slipped inside. Darkness. The hallway smelled like bleach and rust. I followed the map. Every door led deeper. Until finally, I heard voices. 2 guards. I ducked behind a stack of crates and pulled out my mic. Broadcast active. Facility 17. Transmitting now. I moved closer. They were talking about the next transport. Phase 4 begins in 72 hours, one said. We clear the roster by then. The roster. I had to find it. Then I saw it. A steel door, labeled processing. I crept forward. No cameras inside. Just bodies. Dozens of them. Sleeping. Sedated. And in the corner, Adam. He was strapped to a gurney. Eyes half open. Mouth slack. But breathing. Still breathing. Elena. His voice was barely audible. Tears blurred my vision. Adam. I'm getting you out. He blinked slowly. I knew you'd come. I started undoing the straps. But alarms suddenly wailed. They found the transmission. I grabbed his arm and pulled. We don't have time, I whispered. He stumbled, disoriented, but he moved. We raced through the corridor, dodging shadows and echoing boots. Just ahead, a loading dock, daylight, freedom, and then, a voice behind us. Elena Harper. Stop. I turned. It was her again. The woman in black. Expression calm. Gun in hand. You really don't understand what he is, do you? She asked. I stepped in front of Adam. What are you talking about? She smirked. He volunteered for this. No, Adam said behind me. I didn't. I thought I was stopping something. Not joining it. She raised the gun. He knows too much. And now, so do you. I lunged forward. We struggled. The gun fired. A flash. A scream. And then silence. She dropped. Blood pooling beneath her. My hands were shaking. Adam was still upright, dazed. We ran. Through the gate. Into the sunlight. Out into the world again. We didn't stop for hours. And when we finally collapsed, it was in a train station. Surrounded by people. Normal people. People who had no idea how close they were to vanishing. Over the next few days, the broadcast from my mic made it to a few dark corners of the web. Encrypted channels. Whistleblower forums. The footage spread like wildfire. The cruise line denied everything. But the symbols, the serpent and the anchor, were suddenly missing from every doc, every brochure, like they were never there. Clara never resurfaced. I don't know if she made it, but I owe her my life. As for Adam, he remembers only fragments. They drugged him for days, maybe weeks. He's not the same, but he's alive, and we're safe. For now. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I swear I see that emblem in places it shouldn't be. A sticker on a lamppost, a scratch on a coffee cup, a mark in the corner of a newspaper ad. And when I do, I know they're still out there, watching, waiting, rebuilding. And I also know they made one mistake. They let me live. And now, I'll never stop watching them back. If this story shook you, don't just leave it here. Subscribe to Criminally Untold for more immersive crime stories, both real and reimagined. Because the most dangerous stories are the ones they don't want you to hear.